going on, YouTube? So today I want to do my teams most likely to win each Power 6 conference for this video. I'm going to do the AAC and then also the Power 5. So start with the AAC. So obviously number 1 is Memphis. They just had the biggest win outside of the AAC, I think outside of any group of 5 team, beating Ole Miss. Now also Temple and Houston, my other two. I'd say Houston's second best chances right now, and then Temple third. Houston just has the better offense. Their defense has been playing okay, but Greg Ward, I'd say, might be the biggest name outside of all the Power 5 teams. Great quarterback for Houston, very athletic, and I think that game against Memphis later in the season is going to be huge for the AAC. So quickly move on to the Big Ten. So obviously Ohio State's got the best chance right now. Ohio State's just been looking a little bit better in Big Ten play. JT Barrett gets the reins this week. He was just named the starting quarterback today. So I think that they'll be able to maybe get a little bit better rhythm under him, maybe be able to get just get the offense looking better. So Ohio State looks like the team that they were last year. Honestly, at this point right now, I think that Penn State win was huge for them. So move on to number 2, Michigan State. So Michigan State obviously had a pretty big win against Michigan last week. You could say Michigan outplayed them, should have won the game, obviously, but Michigan State won it nonetheless, and right now look like the second best option out of the Big Ten. So obviously this Ohio State-Michigan State game is going to be close. It's huge for the Big Ten and huge for the Big Ten North. So move on to Iowa. So Iowa's been looking pretty good in the Big Ten South, like the clear front runner right now. So I think that, for Iowa, it's going to be important for them to obviously finish off the schedule the way they should. They don't have really any tough teams left on the schedule. I think Minnesota might be the toughest, Nebraska maybe. So obviously they can't let up. They do still have some quality opponents that could beat them. But for Iowa, I think it's just about finishing out the schedule and then showing up huge in the Big Ten title game, because right now they just don't look like they match up talent-wise with Ohio State and Michigan State. It's hard to tell. So move on to the Big 12. Obviously the front runner, at least for me right now, is Baylor. Baylor's been playing a lot better than TCU this year. TCU's just been ravaged with injuries. The Baylor offense looks like the best offense in the country. Honestly, Baylor, to a lot of people, has looked like the best team in the country so far. They just flat-out outscored West Virginia. Same thing with Texas Tech. So as long as Baylor keeps rolling, keeps doing things that they have, then they should be able to go undefeated in the Big 12. So move on to TCU. So TCU's in a little bit tougher spot than Baylor. They have to play the Oklahoma schools on the road, which if you guys have watched TCU this year, they're not near as good on the road as they are at home. Obviously there's a gap between most teams. Most teams are better at home, but the gap is ridiculous for TCU. So like I said, they do have to play Oklahoma and Oklahoma State on the road. Both decent defenses that have a chance to at least kind of slow down TCU's offense, and two offenses that, given the right game, can put up a ton of points. So that could be a bad mixture for TCU. Plus, they do still have to play Baylor, even if the game is at home. I don't think they're going to be able to win that. So move on to Oklahoma State. So right now, I guess the dark horse out of the Big 12. They are undefeated heading into homecoming game this week against Kansas. So after Texas Tech on Halloween, they do have a pretty favorable schedule compared to the rest of the Big 12 teams heading into November. They do get Baylor, TCU, and OU at home. Then have to play Iowa State on the road. So I think that they'll be able to I don't know. I think they'll be able to win 2 of those 3 games, and I don't know. Tough to see if a one-loss team is going to be able to win the Big 12 this year. So move on to the ACC. So Clemson, obviously the front runner right now. Florida State not too far behind, but Clemson did have a pretty good looking win last week against Boston College, a decent Boston College team. So Clemson's offense been able to put up points, I wouldn't say in bunches this year, but it's looked pretty good. Defense has been looking amazing, and some of the games this year was a huge win for them against Notre Dame, big win against Georgia Tech like 2 weeks ago. So as long as they keep rolling, take care of the Florida State game, obviously they'll be able to go undefeated in the conference, and then maybe be able to slide into the college football playoff. So then Florida State, the close runner-up right now. So they've been playing a lot of games close this year. They are still undefeated, and this game against Clemson is going to be huge. I believe it's in 2 weeks. So for Florida State, they just got to make sure they keep on rolling. Don't let any team sneak up on them and upset them before the Clemson game. So move on to the third most likely team to win the ACC right now, and that's Duke. They do have a very favorable schedule to finish out the season. They have to finish out Virginia Tech this week. That will be a tough game for them. They are not the favorite right now. they are talented enough to win the game. Obviously ranked higher than Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, a team that just lost to Miami by 10 the week before. So it's doable for Duke. Like I said, they take care of the rest of the regular season schedule. They'll be able to get into the conference championship game, most likely against either Florida State or Clemson. So move on to the SEC. So 3 clear front runners for me right now. LSU, obviously number 1 right now. They are the highest ranked team. Also, I believe the only SEC team in the top 10 that's undefeated. So LSU able to take care of Florida last week. Now this LSU Alabama game is going to be huge. I think it's going to decide the SEC West, and honestly probably decide the SEC, because probably whatever SEC West team wins, then they'll probably be heavily favored in the SEC championship. So that leaves Alabama at 2, same situation as LSU, just they have 1 loss. If they're able to take care of LSU and the rest of their schedule, if they don't slip up against a team like Tennessee this week, Mississippi State, then they should be good to go. But at number 3, we got Florida, SEC East front runner right now. I think they'll be able to run away with it. Really, the only challenger, in my opinion, is Tennessee, and Tennessee already has 2 losses in the conference, and Florida's already beat them. So I think Florida's going to be able to run away with the SEC East title, and then slide into the SEC title game. But like I said, they already lost to LSU. I don't think playing Alabama is going to be any easier for them. So last but not least, the Pac-12, the conference that looks, I'd say, the most different from the beginning of the year. 3 teams that I'd say really no one expected to be, maybe one of the 3 expected to be in the top 3 by this point in the year. So obviously number 1, you got Utah, number 3 team in the country right now. Pac-12 South front runner by far, but they do have to take care of USC this week. I'd say if USC is able to win, then that kind of slides them back in the opportunity to win the Pac-12 South. But USC's pretty much put themselves out of the race right now with 2 losses in conference. So number 2, Stanford. I'd say it's Utah and Stanford are just momentum-wise, talent-wise, co-front runners right now. Obviously, that looks like the college. That looks like what the Pac-12 title game is going to be. Would be a very entertaining Pac-12 title game. Both teams have been on a roll. And 3rd team is Cal. So Cal played Utah very close. It was a good game to watch, at least at the end, when both quarterbacks were able to shake off the nerves. I think it wasn't just the quarterbacks, it was the entire team for both teams. But right now, as it stands, Cal is the 3rd best team in the Pac-12. They are might be the only other team with 1 loss in the conference, besides Utah and Stanford. Washington State might only have 1 loss too. But anyway, yeah, that's it for this week. I wanted to do a video like this because it's halfway through the season. Obviously, we just hit the midway point, about to hit week 8, and it's been an entertaining season so far. Some conferences do look vastly different. I'd say there's a lot of shakeups in the SEC. There's been a lot of shakeups, obviously, in the Pac-12. So, yeah, see how these conferences turn out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.